Thank you, Maribel and Brianna. Maribel Hernandez and Brianna Duarte are going to be providing Spanish interpretation for this event today. And they will provide the instructions for anyone who wants to listen in Spanish one more time. Let's get started. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Ariane Erickson, and I am the Carl Knapp Go EV Program Manager at Actera. And let's have Maribel and Brianna give instructions for any attendee that wants to switch into the Spanish channel. If you want to hear this presentation in English, you don't have to do anything, just keep listening. And Maribel and Brianna, one more time, if you could give the instructions, and then we'll have everyone who wants to listen in Spanish segue into the Spanish channel.
Por favor. Entonces, si quiere escuchar en español, por favor, haga clic en el icono de la interpretación. Se ve como un globo. En la parte del bajo de la pantalla, haga clic. Seleccione la opción de idioma español. Para escuchar solo en español, haga clic en mute, el botón mute. Mira como un globo.
Great, thank you so much. So some logistics before we begin. This event is being recorded and we will be sending you a copy of the recording next week. As I mentioned earlier, all attendees' videos and microphones are turned off. The hosts' videos and microphones are turned on, and we'll be turning ourselves on and off intermittently. So this morning we're joined by Actera EV Ambassador Sonia Marwood, and she's on screen right now and she's waving at us. So she has a lot of in-depth knowledge of the many grant programs that we'll be discussing this morning. So during this presentation, if you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A box at any time, and Sonia will provide written responses. I will also be answering questions at the end of the presentation. At the completion of this event, we will ask you to complete a short survey. And this is important because this is where you can sign up for an optional follow-up consultation. Additionally, once you complete the survey, your name will be entered in a raffle to win a level 2 home charger provided by PowerFlex. And this is a $600 value, so it's a great raffle prize, and we will be announcing the winner on July 1st. So let us begin. I want to give a quick thank you to our presenting sponsor, Electrify America, that has enabled us to do this program that we're calling the ZEV Families Program in conjunction with a collaboration of other nonprofit entities called Drive Clean Bay Area. So thank you so much to Electrify America for making this event possible. All right, so at this point, I'm going to turn off my camera, but I'll still be talking, and we'll dive right into the definition of what is an electric vehicle. All right, so this diagram provides a very simple overview of the difference between a combustion engine and an electric vehicle. The red pieces of this diagram should look familiar to you because they are what comprises a gas-powered car. You have the engine, you fuel your car using gas that you get at the gas pump. Conversely, an electric vehicle does not have any of the red pieces that you see in a traditional gas-powered car. Instead, it has a battery, and I'm pointing to it. It runs along the base of the car. And the battery provides electricity to an electric motor, which powers the wheels. In an electric vehicle, instead of the way that you fuel it is you recharge it and you add more electricity through a port here and a cord that is connected to a regular household plug. The third type of vehicle that we need to discuss is a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. So plug-in hybrids actually contain both the red and the green components that you see inside this car. So it allows you a lot of flexibility. If you want to run your vehicle on electricity until the range is depleted, then it will kick into using gas and into its combustion engine. So there's a lot of flexibility that you have if you have a plug-in hybrid. I should note that this is slightly different from the conventional hybrids that you see out on the roads today. There are a lot of conventional hybrids, the first and most popular one being the Toyota Prius that came along about 10 years ago. The conventional hybrids actually don't need to be plugged into an external power source because their batteries are a lot smaller and they can be recharged internally via the combustion engine. But because they don't need to be plugged in, they also don't give the driver as much control over when the car is using electricity versus when it's using gas. So the car decides itself when to use electricity and when to use gas. So the advantage of a plug-in hybrid is that the driver actually has control over when they use the electricity versus when the car uses gas. So a lot of plug-in hybrid owners can run their vehicle using electricity for most of the time, unless they're taking long trips, and then they have the assurance that they will be able to rely upon their gas tank. So those are the three different types of vehicles that we'll be talking about today, mostly 100% electric. So let's now talk about all the reasons why make the switch to electric vehicles. So there are actually many, many, many reasons and many benefits of electric vehicles over gas-powered cars. The first is we all know that gas-powered cars emit pollutants from their tailpipe. And this diagram shows just a sample of all of the pollutants that a typical gas-powered car emits. And these pollutants obviously are harmful to the air, they're harmful to humans. In particular, particulate matter, which is soot, basically, they can cause skin and eye irritation and allergies, and these are the things that kind of lodge in people's lungs and cause respiratory problems, including asthma and lung disease and heart problems. It's well documented that pollution from gas-powered cars really is very harmful to both people and the planet. And so electric vehicles, conversely, they do not emit any of these harmful pollutants into the atmosphere. Electric vehicles actually have no tailpipe. And so if you can imagine, if everybody converted to an electric vehicle, this is the image of the Bay Area on a clear day. So just imagine if everyone drove an electric vehicle, we could drastically reduce air pollution and its harmful effects on humans, including stroke and heart disease and lung cancer and all of that. So I think you all would agree with me that we would rather experience clean air and blue skies by converting to clean vehicles. And we hope that that is an attainable goal for our near future. Another very important reason to make the switch to electric vehicles is to reduce CO2 emissions. So carbon dioxide, as many of you know, is a greenhouse gas, and it is responsible for climate change. This is a pie chart that shows California's CO2 emissions by sector, meaning the activities that humans do and how much CO2 each activity creates. And you'll see the blue arrow is pointing to the transportation sector, and it's this huge wedge of what I like to call the carbon pie. So in California, transportation is responsible for about 41% of California's CO2 emissions. So it is an area that it is super important that we focus on when we want to mitigate the most harmful effects of climate change. And here in the Bay Area, where a lot of us are viewing from, we have a lot of clean energy providers. And because our electricity is so clean and electric vehicles run on electricity, the percentage of carbon emissions produced by the transportation sector here in the Bay Area is even higher than that 41%, the statewide amount. It's upwards of 60% and higher. So particularly here in the Bay Area, we have a very big reason to switch to electric vehicles in order to address climate change. So speaking about the climate change problem, I like to show this slide and have people remember back to last September, which was a grueling month for the state of California. You all probably remember that there was a very substantial heat wave, and that caused, in conjunction with a lightning storm, which set off more wildfires here in California and horrible, horrible air pollution. The LA Times said that in a matter of weeks, California experienced 6 of the 20 largest wildfires in modern history and toppled all-time temperature records from the desert to the coast. So, and it is obvious that the record heat, fires, and pollution all have one thing in common. They were made worse by climate change. So electric vehicles are an important part of getting us to this clean air, blue skies, and not have to repeat the incidences that we experienced last September. It's really, truly one of the biggest things that any individual can do to combat climate change. So, but there are other benefits to going EV. Let's talk about some of them. So first of all, it costs less to fuel your electric vehicle than it does to fuel a gas-powered car. There was a study done by the University of Michigan that says that electric vehicle owners save on average about $830 per year fueling their car on electricity versus gasoline. So if you multiply that by the number of years you own your car, the savings will become substantial. Here's another benefit. A lot of people go EV for this benefit alone. EV owners get to drive in the carpool lane with only a single occupant in their vehicle. Excuse me. So if you own an EV, this car right here is you. You get this sticker that you apply to your car, and you get to avoid a large part of Bay Area traffic. Like I said, a lot of people go EV for this benefit alone. Once you purchase your new EV, you can apply for this carpool lane sticker, and it is good for up to 4 years. Okay, so in addition to those benefits, electric vehicles also cost less to maintain than traditional gas-powered cars. And it's because they have fewer moving parts underneath the hood, 10 times fewer moving parts, as a matter of fact. So EV drivers don't have to fix or replace many of the things you see on this screen, the alternator, the clutch, fuel filters, fuel injectors, motor oils, mufflers, oil filters, radiators, radiator hoses, spark plugs, starters, timing belts, catalytic converters, water pumps, and no biannual emissions tests. So you can imagine that since electric vehicles don't contain any of these pieces, lifetime maintenance costs for electric vehicles are half those of traditional gas-powered cars. This is a report from Consumer Reports confirming that EV owners spend half as much on maintenance over the lifetime of their vehicle. Another financial perk of electric vehicles is that once you get your carpool lane sticker, and if you have fast track, you pay less on Bay Area's bridges during rush hour. So you can see $3 versus $6, $3 versus $7. They're good for all bridges except for the Golden Gate Bridge. So another perk for you if you commute using the Bay Area's bridges. And finally, and almost most importantly, you will find once you get behind the wheel of an electric vehicle that EVs are simply more fun to drive. And that is because of their electric motor. It provides instantaneous torque. So the acceleration is instantaneous. It provides a smooth, quiet ride because there is no engine, there's no engine vibration, there's no engine noise. There's absolutely no delay between when you press the pedal to the gas and when you accelerate because it's all electric. It happens instantaneously. You kind of feel almost like you're in a spaceship when you're driving an electric vehicle. And you really have to test drive an electric vehicle or ask a friend if you can take their EV for a spin in order to fully realize just how much more fun electric vehicles are to drive. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about charging an electric vehicle. I'm going to provide a very quick overview on how to charge your EV. And we have a workshop that will provide much more in-depth information that you can sign up for if you want to learn more. But for a quick overview, let's talk about the 3 different levels of charging or 3 different speeds at which you can charge your electric vehicle. Once you purchase your EV, as long as you have a 3-pronged outlet in your garage or somewhere near your garage, you can actually charge your car the minute you bring it home. Your car will be provided with a charging cord. You simply plug the cord into the outlet and the plug into the plug in your car, and you can start charging your vehicle. Now, this is called level 1 charging, just using a 120 volt outlet, and it is a very slow charge. Sometimes it's referred to as a trickle charge. So what most individuals do if they are using level 1 charge is they charge their vehicle overnight, just like you do a cell phone. And level 1 charging will give you about 40 miles of range per night. And that's actually more than enough needed for the typical driver. In the Bay Area, the average commute is about 26 miles per day. So many people can get by just using level 1 charging. And like I said, the moment you bring your car home, you can start charging it. Now, if you want faster charging, you'll want to use level 2 charging. And you can do that either by using a public level 2 charger, and I'm pointing to that one here in the middle of the screen, or you can actually get a level 2 charger installed in your home, and that will provide 25 miles of range per hour of charging. So that's if you have a longer commute or if you just want to charge your car faster. Then we have a 3rd level of charge called level 3, otherwise known as DC fast charge, or if you're a Tesla owner, it's called Tesla supercharging. And this level 3 charge is only available publicly. You can't install a level 3 charger in your home, but you can access them out in public, and they will give you between 130 and 200 miles per hour of charging. So you can get a significant amount of range in about 20 to 30 minutes. And most people use level 3 charging if they're taking long road trips. All right. So while we're on the topic of charging, let's talk about when is the best time to charge. Basically PG&E and other utilities have a time of use plan, and they're going to be converting all users to time of use rate plans in the near future. There is a specific time of use rate plan for EV owners that allows you to save money if you have an EV. And basically, the pricing is cheaper if you charge your car overnight. So in the middle of the night, if you charge your vehicle on PG&E's EV charger plan, you're going to experience the cheapest pricing. This is true for all time of use rate plans. The theory behind it is that utilities really want us to be powering down, not using as much electricity between the hours of 4 and 9 p.m. Because that is when the sun starts to go down and we start to get less electricity coming from solar, which is a renewable energy source. And it's before wind power kicks in, which is another renewable energy source. And so the goal is to not use as much power from 4 to 9 p.m. Because we don't want to use the less renewable sources that we have to revert to if there's too much energy demand between 4 and 9. So the cheapest time to charge your car is anytime after 9 in the middle of the night and anytime up until 4 p.m. All right, so that was an overview of charging. And as I mentioned, we have a whole other event that is specifically devoted to EV charging on May 11th. You can RSVP at actera.org, and that will take a much deeper dive into EV charging, especially if you are interested in installing a home EV charger. I would recommend attending this event. All right, now let's get into the real topic behind this clinic, and that is affordability. We're going to start talking now about all of the purchase incentives that are available for people who decide to go EV, and there's a lot of them. So the first topic we'll cover are credits and rebates for new EVs. You can see here, this is a reminder in the upper left-hand corner that right now we're talking about purchasing new electrical vehicles. So you have to decide whether or not you want to purchase new or used. Obviously, new cars cost more, and so you need to ask yourself if you can make the loan payments on a new car versus used, which might require financing. In this section of our presentation, you'll see that there are questions that you can ask yourself that are in red that will help you determine which rebates and grants you might want to apply for. All right, so if you decide that you're going to go for a new electric vehicle, the biggest financial incentive is the federal tax credit. And that will be a credit on your taxes that you can take, and you can get up to a $7,500 tax credit. And that lowers your taxes by that amount. So it's the equivalent of taking that amount off the price of your vehicle. The important thing to keep in mind is that you won't get this credit until you file your taxes. So, you know, the price break is a delayed price break. You will not get it at the dealer. You will only get it the following year that you file your taxes. However, if you purchase a 100% electric vehicle, you will get to take this $7,500 credit. If you purchase a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, the amount of the tax credit goes down. It's typically about $4,500 for a plug-in hybrid. And if you purchase a conventional hybrid, which is not really the focus of this presentation, those are the Toyota Priuses, the don't need to be plugged into an outside electrical source, you don't get any tax credit for those vehicles. So we're only talking about plug-in hybrids and 100% electric vehicles. The other thing you do have to ask yourself, you see the question in red, is did you pay federal income taxes last year? So you only get this tax credit if you have a tax liability, if you paid taxes. So let's say you only paid $4,000 worth of taxes in the same year that you purchased a 100% EV. You can only get up to a $4,000 tax credit. So that would take your taxes down to zero, but you wouldn't get anything in addition to that. So it is based upon whether or not you actually pay that level of taxes in any given year. So that's the big one. The caveat with this is that automobile manufacturers can only allow this tax credit for manufacturers that have sold less than 200,000 electric vehicles. So if you purchase a Tesla, you cannot claim this tax credit because they have sold more than 200,000 units. And that also applies to General Motors. So Chevrolet, for example, and all the other vehicles that fall under the General Motors name, has also exceeded its 200,000 federal sales. And so you cannot claim the tax credit on any GM models either. But all other makes and models have yet to sell 200,000 vehicles. And so you can claim the tax credit for most other models. All right, so let's talk now about the California rebate. California has been very generous and progressive about EV adoption. And for many years, they have had a rebate that will give you a check in the mail for $2,000 once you have provided proof that you have purchased a 100% electric vehicle. And if you give proof that you've purchased a plug-in hybrid, they'll send you a check in the mail for $1,000. So this program has been in effect for several years, but it is going to be ending soon. It was always intended as a rebate for early adopters, and they are running low on funds. And so they have actually told us that within the next few weeks, the funds will be depleted, and they have currently no intention of renewing the program. There's a lot of lobbying going on for them to actually keep this program instated, but there's absolutely no promises. So if you would like to be assured of getting the California rebate, you actually have to run out and purchase your electric vehicle this weekend and apply as soon as you bring it home, because I can't emphasize enough that they say their funds are rapidly depleting. And as they have told us, probably within the next couple of weeks, they will put people on a wait list. And there's no guarantee that once the wait list is started, that they'll be able to provide the people on the wait list with the rebates. So this is kind of a now or never type scenario for the California rebate. If you do income qualify, you actually will get an additional $2,500 from the state of California. So you see this chart here. It is an income chart that you might want to refer to for several of the programs that we're going to talk about. The question to ask yourself is, does your household income fall within these levels? So if you are a single household and your income is below $51,000, then you actually would qualify, you would income qualify for an additional $2,500 from the state of California. So if you income qualify, you would get, and if you purchase a 100% new battery electric vehicle, you would get the $2,000 plus $2,500 for a total of $4,500. It's a very nice additional perk if you income qualify. Okay, so here's another rebate that is rather new. It began in January of this year. It's called the California Clean Fuel Reward. And this is a program that is sponsored by a number of California's utilities, including PG&E. They got together and decided that they would offer what they're calling a reward to anyone who purchases a 100% electric vehicle or a plug-in hybrid. If you purchase a plug-in hybrid, the rebate amount is lower, so it'll be around $800 for a plug-in hybrid. If you purchase a 100% EV, you'll get $1,500 reward. And this happens at the dealer. So it's important to know that not all dealers have been trained to give this reward at the point of sale. So what you want to make sure is either you want to check this California Clean Fuel Reward website to look at a list of participating dealers, or you can directly call or email the dealer that you're thinking about visiting and asking them if they have the ability to process the California Clean Fuel Reward, because it does happen at the dealership. So it's a nice perk, especially since the California rebate is going away. This California Clean Fuel Reward I mentioned is new, and we don't see it going away anytime soon. All right, so let's give an example of how you can add these credits and rebates together to reduce the price of a new EV. This is an example that I found yesterday from Fremont Chevrolet. This is a 2021 Chevrolet Bolt. It has an amazing range of 259 miles. The MSRP, which is the initial starting price, is $39,790. Fremont Chevrolet is giving a discount of $2,000. And General Motors, the parent company, is giving a manufacturer discount of $9,000. General Motors has been giving this huge discount on its Chevy Bolts for months now. It's really an incredible deal. The reason they're doing it is partly because the Chevy Bolt is getting a facelift for 2022. And so they really want to get the 2021s sold and off the lots to make way for the 2022 model, which will arrive as soon as June. So I don't know how much longer this amazing discount is going to be offered, but it is offered at least through the end of this month. And General Motors renews these offers on a monthly basis. So it's good for at least the end of this month. Then we add the California Clean Fuel Reward that we mentioned in the prior slide. And we also add the California rebate of $2,000, which is the one that will be depleted very soon. And a final rebate that is available through the end of this month is a Costco rebate. For anyone who is a Costco member, the dealer will take off an additional $3,000. So you can see that when you stack all of these credits and rebates on top of one another, the price of the car goes down to less than $23,000, which is almost half off the original price. I can't state enough what an incredible opportunity this is for this particular car, the Chevy Bolt. And it is an opportunity that is time constrained. As I mentioned, the Costco rebate goes away at the end of this month. And it's just uncertain how much longer that General Motors will be offering this amazing $9,000 discount. Once the 2022 models start arriving on the lots, and once the 2021s, the inventory goes down, that $9,000 discount will go away. Let's give another example. This is another very popular electric vehicle. Many of you know about it. It's the Nissan Leaf. And the Nissan Leaf has a 150-mile range, although it does come in a trim level that offers up to 226 miles of range. And whenever you see the name Plus at the end of the name, so if you see a Nissan Leaf Plus, you'll know that that is the model that gets up to 226-mile range. If the name just says Nissan Leaf, it's a 150-mile range. Again, we found this at Premier Nissan of Fremont. The original manufacturer price is $38,000. That dealer is also offering a discount, and Nissan is also offering an incredible rebate of $7,500 this month. Nissan still qualifies for the federal tax credit, so you can claim that the year after you purchase the car. The California state rebate is still in effect for another couple of weeks, and the California Clean Fuel Reward of $1,500 enables the price of this vehicle to go down to $18,000, again, half off almost. So Nissan is another manufacturer that's offering an incredible rebate right now. Last month, it was only $6,000. This month, it's up to $7,500. Again, Nissan will update their rebates on a monthly basis. So that's another example of incredible savings that are available right now on both the Leaf and the Bolt. Let's also talk quickly about lease deals. Both the Bolt and the Leaf also have some amazing lease deals right now. Here's an example from FH Daily Chevrolet, located in the East Bay, where you can lease a Chevy Bolt for only $59 per month with a $2,000 down payment. Now, it almost sounds too good to be true, and you have to read the dealer's fine print. They always add fees and taxes on top of these incredible deals. So you can expect to pay about $1,500 extra in addition to your $2,000 down payment. But $59 a month is almost unheard of. Let's talk about a Nissan Leaf deal for leasing. This is a deal that I found yesterday at Premier Nissan of San Jose, $29 per month plus tax, with $1,000 down, plus all the fine print, that will probably add another $1,500 to the price of the car. And this lease offer is only available for 2 years. Now, the important thing that you want to know about leasing a new vehicle is that you can get the California rebate if you lease a vehicle. However, you must lease the vehicle for at least 30 months in order to get the California rebate. This will be a moot point in the next few weeks because the California rebate's going away. But if you rush out right now to purchase or to lease an EV and you want to get the California rebate, make sure that your lease period is for at least 30 months. All right. Now, let's talk about free money for electric vehicles. We're going to talk now about grants that are available for purchasing new or used electric vehicles. So in this next section, we're going to cover 4 different programs. We're going to get started with the first one, which is the biggest one. It's called Clean Cars for All. Now, if you look over here at my little sticker, the thing you have to keep in mind about this particular grant program is that you have to have an older vehicle to trade in order to get the grant for an electric vehicle through Clean Cars for All. So it has to be older than 2004. So if you have a car that is at least that old, you can qualify for this Clean Cars for All program. Oh, and I misspoke. It has to be model year 2005 or older. Now, the other caveat about applying for this program is that you must live in a San Francisco Bay Area disadvantaged community. So these are communities that the Air District has identified as facing a higher pollution burden than other communities. So Sonia is inputting a map, a link to a map in the chat box. I think she's able to do that so that if you want to click on that map, you can actually enter your zip code or your city in order to find out if you live in one of these environmentally disadvantaged communities. If that feature isn't working, we will send out a link to that map in our follow-up email so that you can find out if you live in a disadvantaged community. Now, in addition to living in a disadvantaged community, you do have to meet income requirements in order to apply for this grant. So you will recognize this chart that I showed on a previous slide. You need to ask yourself if your household income falls within these levels. So if you are a family of 4 and your income is less than $105,000, you could qualify for this grant. Now, if you meet all of those eligibility requirements, this grant is an amazing opportunity to purchase an electric vehicle because you could get a grant of up to $9,500 in order to purchase either a new or used electric vehicle. It is a tiered system. So if you noticed that you just barely qualified on the income chart from the previous slide, you will get a lower amount of grant. But if your income falls way below those income thresholds, then it's more likely that you'll get the full amount of the grant. This grant will also give you access to a low interest vehicle loan, no more than 8% if you need to finance the remainder of your purchase. The amounts are also based upon what type of EV you decide to purchase. So if you decide to purchase a plug-in hybrid or a 100% battery electric, actually the amounts are the same. You also could decide to opt for public transportation. And so you could get a preloaded Clipper card for all public transportation in the Bay Area. And the final perk is if you go with the EV, they will give you up to $2,000 for the purchase and installation of a level 2 home charger. So it's a fantastic grant opportunity for those that meet all of the eligibility requirements. Let's show an example of how you could use this grant to purchase an electric vehicle. There is a dealer located in Hayward called Rose Motor Cars that specializes in used EVs and used plug-in hybrids. So they recently had a 2017 Chevy Volt Premier plug-in hybrid, not to be confused with the Chevy Bolt that we were showing earlier in this presentation. The Chevy Volt is a plug-in hybrid. It has a 53-mile battery range, which is pretty good for a plug-in hybrid. And after that, it kicks into using gas, and it will give you 400 additional miles of range. The Chevy Volt is only available as a used car. They don't make them anymore. So if you happen to find one as a used vehicle, it is an excellent plug-in hybrid if you can get your hands on one of them. So this car was priced at $16,000. If you meet the eligibility requirements and get the full amount of the Clean Cars for All grant, you could apply $9,500 towards the purchase price, and the price after the grant is less than $6,500. This is versus $40,000 that you would pay for this car if you bought it new. It's an incredible deal if you're able to get the Clean Cars for All grant. Now, let's talk very quickly about e-bikes, because Clean Cars for All has recently added an option for individuals that want to, instead of purchasing an electric vehicle, purchase an e-bike. So e-bikes are good if you have a commute that is a little bit longer than you're willing to do on a regular bike. But if it's close enough for an e-bike, if you just need that extra pedal power that e-bikes provide, e-bikes they take the sweat and effort out of bicycling. You know, they make it practical to carry heavier loads and to go longer distances and to climb steep hills. E-bikes are, they're really a fantastic vehicle if you enjoy biking and you just want to go a little bit longer distance, or if you really feel as though you can make the commute on an e-bike. Clean Cars for All will give you up to $7,500 for purchasing an e-bike. E-bikes, the range of prices all over the map. But if you go for a less expensive e-bike and you have more than one person in your family, they will let you purchase more than one e-bike up to that $7,500 limit. If you happen to live in Contra Costa County, they have a new program that will give you between $150 and $300 additional towards the purchase of an e-bike. And if you live in San Mateo County, Peninsula Clean Energy is soon going to come out with an additional rebate for purchasing an e-bike through their program. So e-bikes are a fantastic option, and there's money to go e-bike. All right, let's move on to another grant program. There are actually two programs, and I call them sister programs. And it's because they are the exact same program. They're just run by two different entities. The logo that I have up here is the logo for the Clean Vehicle Assistance Program, and it's run by Beneficial State Bank Foundation. They provide grants to anyone living in the state of California that meets the income threshold. Now, their program has currently run out of funds. They hope to have funds, renew their funds in the next few months. But meanwhile, their sister program called the Driving Clean Assistance Program still has funding available, and they anticipate having funding for quite some time. However, their program is limited to people residing in the Bay Area. So you do have to ask yourself these questions in order to know if you're eligible for this grant. Do you live in California? And specifically for Driving Clean Assistance Program, do you live in the Bay Area? And does your household income fall within those levels? If so, both of these programs will give you $5,000 towards purchasing a 100% electric vehicle, between $45,000 and $5,000 for a plug-in hybrid. And the nice thing about these programs is if you decide that you want to purchase a conventional hybrid, that's the ones that don't need to be plugged into an external power source, you can actually get some money towards buying something like a Toyota Prius. They'll give you between $1,500 and $2,500. Plus up to $2,000 for the purchase and installation of a home charger. So this is another fantastic grant program. You do not need to own an old vehicle and turn in an old vehicle like you do for the Clean Cars for All program. So this is eligible to more individuals than the Clean Cars for All program, and it applies to both a new or used vehicle. So let's look at a quick example here of using the Clean Vehicle Assistance Program. This is a 2017 Ford Fusion Energy plug-in hybrid that has a 21-mile range before you kick into gas. And this is available at another dealer that specializes in used electric vehicles. It's called Greenlight Auto Wholesale, and it's located in Daly City. So you can see that the grant brings the price of this vehicle down to less than $9,000 versus $38,000 that you would have had to have paid for this same vehicle if you bought it new. One important thing to know about both of the grant programs that we just discussed is that you cannot combine them. You can't stack them. You choose one or the other. Now let's talk about some regionally based grant programs. If you are a San Mateo County resident, and if you meet these income thresholds, you can apply for Peninsula Clean Energy's Drive Forward Electric Grant. So remember, again, this is if you are a San Mateo County resident meeting these income qualifying guidelines, Peninsula Clean Energy will give you a grant of $4,000 towards the purchase of a used 100% electric or plug-in hybrid. So you can't buy a new one with this program. You can buy a used electric or plug-in hybrid, and they will also help you find a low interest loan. So that's if you live in San Mateo County. Let's show an example of Peninsula Clean Energy's grant. Fortunately, you can stack Peninsula Clean Energy's grant with the Clean Cars for All grant. So again, at Greenlight Auto, I found this 2016 Kia Soul EV, which is a fantastic electric vehicle. It doesn't have the range of some of the newer EVs. It has a 93-mile range. But if you don't have a long commute and you really just use your car locally, this would be a great electric vehicle for you. And if you qualify for both the Clean Cars for All program and you live in San Mateo County, you could actually purchase this car for free. Pretty amazing. All right, let's talk about our next county specific program, which is Marin Clean Energy's EV program. You don't have to live just in Marin County. You can also live in these cities in Contra Costa County, and in these cities in Napa County, and a couple of select cities in Solano County. So if you live in one of these communities, and if you meet the income thresholds, and again, by now you should be very familiar with this income chart. Oops, I'm missing a slide here. My apologies, but if you meet these income thresholds, Marin Clean Energy will give you $3,500 towards the purchase of a new electric vehicle. So with this program, you cannot use it to purchase a used vehicle, only a new electric vehicle. The good news is that you can also combine the Marin Clean Energy grant with one of our two bigger grants. So basically the regionally specific grants are combinable. They are stackable with these larger grants. So you can get increased savings if you combine. All right, so here's an example of using these two grants, the Clean Vehicle Assistance Program along with Marin Clean Energy's grant. And we showed you this example of the 2021 Chevy Bolt in an earlier slide. If you combine all of these grants, oh, it looks as though I might be cutting off, but if you combine all of these grants, you can actually get a brand new Chevy Bolt for under $14,000. That equates to almost 2/3 off the original price. So if you're lucky enough to live in Marin County, meet the eligibility guidelines, and apply for the Clean Vehicle Assistance Program or its sister program, the Driving Clean Assistance Program, you could be the proud owner of a Chevy Bolt for less than $14,000. All right, let's talk very briefly about the timeline of how you should be applying for these various rebates and grants, because the timing is important. You must apply for the income-based grants before you buy the car. And the process takes about 1 to 3 months. They will give you an approval letter that you take to the dealer, and then the dealer takes the money off the price of the car. You cannot buy the car first and then apply for the grant. It has to happen before you buy. Then at the point of sale, when you go to the dealer, that is when you ask the dealer to please apply the California Clean Fuel Reward to take that off the price of the car. And that is also when you ask them to take the Costco discount off the price of the car. After you purchase the car, after you bring it home and park it in your driveway, that is when you apply for the California State Rebate. Mind you, that is the one that is going away very soon. But if you happen to make it before the deadline, the processing time takes about 3 months. And in 3 months' time, you should get your rebate check in the mail. And after you purchase your car is also the time when you apply for your carpool stickers, and they take about 1 month to get to you. Finally, several months, if not 1 year later, is when you file your next year's taxes, and that's when you're able to claim the federal tax credit. So that's the timeline. It's very important that you follow the steps in that order in order to get all of the rebates. And that concludes our presentation portion. I just wanted to end with a testimonial from one of our EV ambassadors who was able to take advantage of the Clean Cars for All program. And I love her quote that says, "I have found out for myself what a life-changing experience an electric vehicle can be." And I think that you will too feel the same way if you are able to take advantage of these rebates and grants and become an EV owner yourself. All right, so we're going to end, first of all, by answering any remaining questions. If you have additional questions now, you can type them into the Q&A box. And after we answer any remaining questions, our last slide will show you the links to the surveys. And as I mentioned, it's very important that you take the survey. It really gives us great information on which to improve our presentations in the future. It also enables you to sign up for a one-on-one consultation and be entered into our raffle for an EV home charger. So I'm going to turn on my camera again and just take a look at the questions that were put into the Q&A box. It actually looks as though Sonia was able to answer all of the questions that were submitted previously. And Judith Schwartz at the end said, "Will you send the presentation all the links?" Yes, we will send you a document that lists all of these grant and rebate programs and includes the websites where you go in order to apply.
Ariane, there are actually a bunch of questions, open questions. Can you see them?
Let's have a look here. Open 15. Okay, so let's see here. Oh, these are all open. Okay, I see. Great. Okay, so let's answer some of these questions, and then after about 5 minutes, anything that I haven't been able to answer, I'll try to answer in the follow-up email. So just 5 more minutes to answer some of these questions, and then we'll show the slide with the link to the survey. Okay. So let's see. CK asked, oh, Prius. Okay, so the Prius are often vandalized because of the copper. Is it same true for other EVs? So for my understanding, Toyota Priuses, their catalytic converters are the things that are being stolen. And it's because they're on the Prius, they're very easy to steal. So unfortunately, that's been happening a lot during the pandemic. Electric vehicles, they don't need catalytic converters because those are things, the catalytic converter reduces a vehicle's pollutants that come out of the tailpipe. And as we know, electric vehicles don't emit anything from the tailpipe, so they don't have catalytic converters. So that is not an issue with electric vehicles. So Trong is, let's see, let me keep going through these. Okay. Okay, so you're asking about rebates in Santa Clara County. Not specifically. However, if you live in the city of Santa Clara, they are also offering a rebate for purchasing and installing a home charger. And I believe the rebate is up to $1,000. So if you go on the City of Santa Clara's website, you can see about getting that rebate. There is another perk if you live in the city of San Jose and you register an electric vehicle in the city of San Jose. You can apply for a decal that gives you free parking at the city's parking meters and in certain of the city's garages. And that little permit is about $35, and then you get to save on all the parking meters. Okay, how can you learn more about maintenance service for EVs? I would just say follow the recommended manual. Now, anecdotally, EV owners like to say that, you know, oh, I leased my car, my EV for 3 years, and I had to get it serviced once for windshield wipers. My windshield wipers had to be replaced. It's kind of a common refrain, a common joke amongst EV owners because maintenance is that low. Let's see, after I fully charge the vehicle, how long does it hold if I don't use it? You know, if your car's just sitting around, especially during the pandemic when we're not commuting to work, it will very, very, very slowly lose its charge. But it's not something to worry about unless you think you're taking a 6-month leave. And at that point, I would probably unplug the ancillary battery, you know, the 12-volt battery. All EVs also still have that little 12-volt battery that all gas-powered cars have. And, you know, when you're leaving any car for long periods of time, they always say it's a good idea to unplug that battery. I owned a plug-in 5 years ago. Can I qualify for a rebate? No, it's just for new cars only. Okay, EV batteries. Okay, so people often ask about the EV batteries, you know, what's the environmental impact of the batteries? So they definitely take resources, especially rare minerals, but they're definitely working on ways to reduce the environmental impact of the batteries. One way they're doing that is that there's a new industry that is coming to bear on the market, and that is recycling electric vehicle batteries, because the minerals that are in there are still very valuable after the battery has reached the end of its life. So, so there's recycling that is happening. EV batteries also have this unique ability to be used for other purposes once they have used up their useful life inside of an electric vehicle. They actually are now starting to take EV batteries and using them for battery storage for other purposes. So these batteries are going to have we're going to find that they have a long, long, long life before they need to be recycled. And then finally, the precious metals that they're using, particularly cobalt, you know, there are issues with mining cobalt. And so they are really trying to find other minerals to use for the EV batteries, and they're having some success. So I see that the use of cobalt is going to go away fairly soon. How do these EVs affect cardiovascular patients, pacemakers? I don't have the answer to that question. I know that induction cooktops, you do have to be careful if you own an induction cooktop, but I have never heard any warnings about pacemakers. But I am going to follow up on that and find out for sure. Can I receive the federal tax credit more than once? Bought a Tesla 3 years ago. Yes, I don't think there's any limit. The only limitation is once the manufacturer sells more than 200,000 vehicles. There is a bill in Congress that is going to try to increase that sales cap to 500,000 vehicles. So I'm hoping that that's going to happen, but so far that's not in effect. Let's see, great. Yes, we can definitely provide the Q&A as well after the event. And then what about hydrogen powered cars? Toyota makes one. Okay, so hydrogen, we feel as though hydrogen will probably be used more effectively in the trucking industry because EV batteries are very heavy. And so imagine trying to have a semi with enough battery capacity to do those long haul trips. Batteries don't seem to be quite as effective or efficient in the trucking industry. And that's where we think that hydrogen is going to be a better option. But the infrastructure is being built out so well and so quickly for electric vehicles versus the hydrogen infrastructure that is very expensive and has been very slow to come out. And I personally believe that really battery electric vehicles, they are going to be the clean vehicle that is going to reach the tipping point and be adopted. I know Toyota does have the Mirai, but I do think that it's battery electric all the way. How many families have gotten that free car? Well, we do have, once we give our consultations, we keep in touch with the individuals that we have given consultations to. And this is a relatively new aspect of our program, giving these consultations that you can sign up for in a few minutes. And so far, we've given maybe 30 consultations, and 3 people have told us so far that they have taken advantage of the grant programs, they've gotten their approval letters, and they have brought home their new electric vehicles. So we do like to keep in touch with people to find out that they have been able to go EV because of the information that we provide about these rebates. Okay, I think we've answered most of your questions. Feel free to email me. I'll provide my email momentarily if you have any additional questions. Just want to thank our sponsor once again, Electrify America, for making this event possible. And now I do want to, hold on, I apologize. All right, here we go. Bringing back my slideshow. I'm hoping that people can see this. Let me stop sharing really quickly and start sharing this last slide because I do want to give people the opportunity to complete the questionnaire. One moment, just bear with me here. I'm not sure if you can see this on your screens. Let's go to the slideshow from current slide. Okay, so here's my email address. And you can feel free to email me at any time for with additional questions. And you can see the 2 links to this survey at the bottom. The one on the left is for the English survey. The one on the right is for the Spanish. And again, if you complete the survey, you will be entered into a raffle to qualify to win a level 2 EV charger. And also, this is where you can request a follow-up consultation. So we'll leave this slide up for the next minute so that you can access the survey. We will also provide the link to the survey in a follow-up email in case you aren't able to capture it on the screen at this moment. And so once again, I want to thank you for considering an electric vehicle in your future. I want to wish you the best of luck in applying for these various grants and rebates and in navigating all of these financial incentives that are out there for you to take advantage of. And also want to thank you for considering an electric vehicle in your future. Actera is an environmental organization, and the reason that we do this is because we are trying to address climate change, which we feel is one of the biggest moral issues of our time. So your presence here, your willingness to consider a clean vehicle in your future is very important to us. And we thank you very much for considering making this switch. It's really one of the biggest things that any individual can do to combat climate change. So with that, we will sign off for today. Thank you again for attending, and that concludes our event.